we are again. It's my favorite book, and one of my favorite writers. Here's to you, Agatha. I'm going to continue reading in chapter 3, Myrtle's Ultimate Mystery, where I left off. Last time, I'm sure you noticed I got a little bit choked up. I imagine it would be an easy guess that that scene that I read was a fact print from a scene in my life. So it would be very difficult to have emotions like that surprise you, just come out, unless it's something based on truth. I think, there's probably a lot of true scenes in books that are put out as fiction. It's very satisfying to be able to pull a treasured scene in your life into a book and have it work. So, just thought I'd let you know a little bit of inside information there. Continuing in chapter 3. Yawning from the prior evening's late brain stretching, closing her eyes behind the menu to take a break, and being amazed that she knew how to write astrological glyphs before she'd seen them in this lifetime, wondering if she was recalling instead of learning. And I'll just start from there. It still amazes me that I knew how to write astrological glyphs before I had seen them in this lifetime. Was I recalling rather than learning? Go figure. Have you ever known how to do something, yet had never done it as far as you remembered? Whatever. Mentally, viewing the chart from last night's research, I focused on the intriguing time frame. Horary charts work from a symbolically altered stretch of time, a span of 30-something, either days, weeks, months, years, or time unknown. When I see a time unknown chart, I realize that the issues are so deep they cross several lifetimes. Either the querent will have many lives relating to this issue, or what? I usually say it's a soul development theme at play. But forget that, at least for the Find Ruth chart. It wasn't dealing with time unknown. It was speaking overall to a 30-month cycle, which had begun a beginning point a little over 4 months prior to the Ides of March, which would have been around November 8th, 1993. November 8th, Election Day, on years ending in 4 or 8. Also, according to this horary, issues relating to Ruth's disappearance wouldn't settle until May Day of 1996. May Day, the warning of impending doom. How appropriate. Miss Drinkwater? My eyes shot open. I nearly hit myself in the head with the menu in my haste to put it down gracefully. 2 women stood before my table. I blinked a few times, refocusing on the present physical location, returning from the ozone. One of the women, obviously the hostess, had spoken my name. I stood. You must be Jean. Having quickly collected my mind and manners, I smiled, nodded, then maneuvered back into the booth as she did likewise. Any news of Ruth? Covering my mouth with my hand, I yawned. No, nothing. Jean picked up her menu. A beige silk blouse rustled as she adjusted herself in the seat. Impatiently dropping the menu on the table, she pulled at her wool skirt. Don't you hate the way wool sticks to booths padded with heavy fabric? Returning the menu to an upright position in front of her eyes, tilting her head backward to squint at the print, she asked, What are you having? Capricorn Caesar. The spiced tea's good. Smells great. Taurus Veggie Pita. She noted, reading. Okay. Moving the menu to the side, she asked, "Have you found anything in the charts?" A double tar as Jean continued to peek out from the right side of the menu, her eyes showing discomfort as she caught mine. Nervously, she returned focus to the entree list. Most people feel naked when first encountering a psychic gaze. Too much, I responded automatically to her question. I really do have to learn to reply to queries with less uncontrolled spontaneity. Too much? Jean wrinkled her nose, forgetting her discomfort. Well, it's just that there's always a lot in my chart, in any chart, and when you're blending several for information, it's hard to weed out to focus. I floundered. And the key factor in this chart is working on at least a 2-year time frame. You mean we aren't going to find Ruth for 2 years? No, not necessarily, I countered, noticing her glance toward her purse, then back to my face, spontaneous horror in her gaze. Ruth was, after all, her exclusive source of financial survival. I searched for words to explain and soothe, yet present the data in a politically palpable manner. In other words, I sought a way to say nothing in a something-appearing manner. There was so much in the chart, it was difficult to nutshell it. And all charts have some details which really shouldn't be exposed. I won't go into the technical details, I apologize, but know that the issues in Ruth's disappearance involve long-term themes in all lives concerned. What are you saying? That I've known Ruth in a past life? Where had she gotten that, I wondered. Not exactly, I answered hesitantly. Just that the situation rises from old issues. A speculation I'd made last evening flashed to mind. During the determining the time frame first step of the Horary investigation, I had been thinking that, to remain lost that long for 2 years, Ruth would have had to have been kidnapped, wouldn't she? To stay that way for 2 years? But that hadn't felt right. So I had taken the next step into the chart, analysis, and looked at the moon. Jean's puzzled face coming back into focus, I realized I really hadn't sorted out what to say, what to leave out, and how to word what I decided to expose. I needed to temporarily shift the subject away from old issues and biannual time frames. So I jumped in from my last conversational hesitation with a but. But let's get on to more immediate ground, I directed, then noticed the waitress headed toward us. Are you ready to order? She asked politely. 2 cobalt blue mugs of mouth-watering, aromatic, steaming cinnamon tea were now on the table. After ordering, I asked Jean how I would go about seeing the mansion and talking with Hans. I've asked him to meet us here at 2:30. She replied curtly. As to seeing the mansion, you could follow Hans when he returns, so he could let you in, if you would. Jerome need not know. Sounds fine, I nodded sagely, taking a sip of tea, pleasantly surprised that it was hot. One of the reasons I usually order coffee instead of tea is few servers know how to preheat a teacup. Now, I activated my let's get down to business voice. What can you tell me about Ruth's daily habits? Habits? Well, let me think. She paused, then slowly noted. I haven't really been around Ruth on a regular basis. I've told you she goes to the Tattered Cover every afternoon. I assume she reads mysteries every evening. She watches some TV, but only after 7 o'clock. She won't turn it on in the daytime unless something really special is scheduled. What would be special to Ruth?